Okay, good morning, everybody. So people in the back, you can hear me. People online, you can hear me. Welcome to, by the way, people online, I can't see you. This is my screen. So we've got Michelle and Alex monitoring the chat, and they'll just give me a wave or thumbs up. So welcome to Map Time Davis. My name is Naomi Kelman. I'm with Valley Spatial. That's my company. I do custom geospatial data support and analysis. So basically I do GIS, I make maps, I do analysis, I help with data, I do training, I do all sorts of things related to spatial data, and I really enjoy doing it. And I'm happy to be here today to share with you about ArcGIS Pro. So a little bit about MapTime is a community group here on campus. We spend some time every week making time for maps. We're open for everybody to come learn and build community and learn about GIS and share all things spatial. We do all kinds of stuff, everything from this kind of introductory thing to really complicated analysis things to drones and everything in between. So if you like maps or spatial data or any of that, please come join us whenever you want. Suggest ideas for workshops. We love workshops. And pretty soon we are going to be putting out a call for volunteers for our council. This is run by a group of volunteers who help organize the meetings and bring speakers. And we're always looking for enthusiastic faces to come help build our community and bring in speakers and make it great. So thanks to the council who's been working on this all year. Thank you everyone for being here today. So with that, we're gonna get started. So this is, I didn't want to do a whole lot of like prefacing it. This is the first time I've ever taught this workshop. This is a new workshop. So take some notes, give some feedback. I'd really appreciate that. The overall plan here is this is for new beginners who have not used Pro before and may never have used GIS before. So just as just for me to get a feel, is a show of hands who's brand new to GIS in the room. Brand new to GIS, pretty brand new to GIS. We got a sort of, okay. Anyone in the chat brand new?
Nobody is saying so, but
no.
That's all right.
Okay, so that's great and welcome. Is there anyone here who has been using a different GIS application like QGIS or a programming language like R Python and new to Pro? Okay, we got this. Anyone moving from ArcMap to ArcPro? No? Okay, so this would work for you too also, but that's just to get me an idea. So all welcome today. So we'll get, my plan is to, and I didn't even try opening the software. This is not my computer, so we will all get to learn together. The plan is to give you an introduction to what is GIS and how to open the software. The plan is to get everybody logged on before, have the software open, have everybody logged in, and have the data downloaded, and then we'll take a little break. And then I'm hoping that will give us a whole hour to push some buttons, see how to symbolize data, select some things, and do some stuff. There's more in the workshop reader that I don't think that I'm not planning to get to. If by some miracle we have a ton of time, I'll take extra questions, or we can try to dive into some actual, like, do some buffer and stuff. But the instructions are there if you want to play at home, but that's kind of the plan for today. I'm here for questions and that kind of stuff. Excuse me. Okay, so first things first. So I just kind of went over the introduction. I want to thank Michelle. I straight up pilfered some of her workshop materials because they're really good. And so thank you for contribution. Everything you see here that's a mistake or a typo, that's all me. So if you see anything, let me know. I'm happy to update. So like I said, we're going to cover what is a GIS. We're going to I'll open the software. We're going to look at how the map interface works. We'll add some data, we'll color it in, and we are not going to make a buffer for spatial analysis, but if you want, it's in this PDF that's available on Box. It's in the reader here that you have a hard copy. So the first thing is that we're running this on Arc Pro 3.2. So if you don't already have the software installed, you might just want to follow along today because it takes a while to install the software. But if you do, that's great. Or you can give it a try downloading it right now while I talk about GIS stuff. You might not have it installed by the time we start, and we don't have time to troubleshoot that. So that's just fair warning. But there's a link here if you, it's on the UC Davis Service Hub. And so you're welcome to give that a shot if you haven't already. All right. So first off, what is GIS? You can Google what is GIS and you get a lot of great definitions. I like this one. Geographic information systems are computer-based tools to store, visualize, analyze, and interpret geographic data. So I like that. This is sometimes a controversial saying. Google Maps is a GIS. You've got a huge set of information that has points of interest, it has lines, it has networks of roads, it's got background information you can query, you can zoom, you can pan. But that's not the only thing you can do. There's all kinds of GIS. You can use remote sensing to use satellites and get data. You can make your own data. For example, you could walk around and get ice cream parlor locations, so XYZ data, and put information about who's got your favorite kind of ice cream flavor, or walk around all the parks and find out which ones still have swing sets and put those on a map. And all of that idea of putting spatially located information specifically. So where is it and information about it, and then using special software to see where it is in the world and ask questions, that's a GIS. And the special software we use today, there's lots of different ways to do it. And today we're going to talk about ArcGIS Pro, but you can use open source things like QGIS. You can use programming languages like Python and R and Julia. And there's a lot of different ways that you can use Google Earth. There's a lot of different ways to get at this. So big field, lots of things to do with it. So we're going to pick this little piece and this little method and talk about ArcGIS Pro. Any questions so far? Great. So ArcGIS Pro is a proprietary desktop GIS software. It's created and licensed by the Environmental Systems Research Institute, or you'll know it as ESRI. And it is just one piece of the kind of GIS software that ESRI creates and licenses, which includes servers, online applications like ArcGIS Pro. You've got collector and survey 1, 2, 3, and all these different ways of collecting and managing and putting together, storing, serving, analyzing data. So ArcGIS Pro runs on your desktop. You can connect it to other things like your ArcGIS online portal, but we're just gonna, so from the giant GIS ecosystem, we're going to desktop, and we're just, ESRI, and then we're just going to desktop here. So it gives a graphical user interface to interact with all this cool spatial data so that you don't have to type in commands. You can push buttons instead, which is really nice, makes it pretty user-friendly. And it's really powerful and it's really slick. I've been using it for years and I really like the Esri software. The other side of Esri software is that it's very expensive, is licensed, and lucky for you, here at UC Davis, everybody has access to a Esri license for free. And when I say you have access to an Esri license, we have like the highest level license, not just maps, not just, it's like all the extensions, all the bells and whistles. You've got an enormous amount of tools at your fingertips. So as you get going with this and you're looking to experiment, this is a great opportunity while you're here at UC Davis and have access to a wide range of licensing. You can have a chance, as you want to experiment, to try out a lot of different kinds of things. And when we open everything up, I'll kind of show you what that means as well. If I am not the licensing, we'll go into licensing when we turn on the thing. There's at the Service Hub, there's a link where you download the UC Davis Service Hub, where you download the software. There's also links to help and support. We have a dedicated support person here on campus to help with licensing issues. Okay. Good. Moving on. All right. So when you get into your GIS, there's, like I said, a lot of different kinds of data. So just very brief, this is a very brief overview of what kinds of data you may encounter in a GIS. And thank you, Michelle, for this cool figure, which isn't, I'm gonna just make this a tiny bit smaller so it fits. Okay, so now we can see the picture all on one page. That's helpful. Okay. Okay, so there's kind of, I like how she's got this arranged in a grid, right? You've got vector data, which are points and lines and polygons and anything that can be defined by like coordinates that you drew a bunch of lines in space. And then there's raster data, which is continuous or discrete objects on a grid. So like think I said this before, butterfly brain. I'm totally blanking on grid data besides satellite imagery and photographs, which that's more like discrete data, and continuous things might be something like elevation data that you would get. You know, it's a gradual continuous surface, and you can rest instead of doing like, could do it as points, but instead of doing like 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, like a path on the ground, you might have a whole surface, break it up in a little grid on top of that surface, and then assign a value to it. And like you can see in this purple, this dark purple might be, you know, the bottom of the sea, and this might be, you know, the top of the mountain sort of thing. And you can see how that changes with the value in each square. Whereas this, so here's the other way, discrete rasters might be a satellite image where you take a picture of the ground and you can see, okay, there's a tree, and then here's a river, and here's like different things. And vector data is also can either be discrete, like here are all my ice cream stores until I'm hungry today, or continuous, like the contour lines on an elevation map. So instead of drawing that whole surface, you can make lines on a map, and each one changes, but they change continuously. So that's kind of like the things that you might see, the big broad categories of data that you will see. And today we're going to be looking in this top left box at discrete vector data. I've got a data set for you that is, no surprise, it's food related. It's places on campus where you can go grab a sandwich that's already made, right? So there'll be points. So, and they are distinct points, and they don't continuously, there's not a continuous gradient of sandwich in between, although I kind of wish there was. So that's where we're going to be today. Michelle has this really nice explanation that you can read later. I put a lot of text here into the reader, but I'm kind of not, I don't want to read it to you, right? You guys can read it on your own. So. All right. So it is much sooner into this than I thought it was going to be. So this is probably going to take longer than I thought, though. So here we are. Now we know a little tiny bit about GIS. We're going to open up the software, and we're going to make a project, and we're going to get logged in. Esri is, or ArcPro has a little bit, to me, a little bit of a startup, not cost, but you can't quite just open it up and go. It creates some folders for you. You kind of have to think about it and plan a little. So what I like to do, which I haven't done, so we can do this all together. I just realized I didn't download the data. I didn't have time. So yeah. So what we want to do is make a space to save all of our stuff that we're going to be doing today. Oh, the other thing about Esri software is that it only runs on Windows. There's some fancy way to make it run on a Mac, and I don't know how to do that, and we're not going to do that today. So if you have a Windows machine, we can do this. So I'm not going to show you how to use your Mac because I don't know how to use your Mac on this machine and like tell you about it. The short answer?
Is you run Windows inside of your Mac.
No, okay. So yes, but there's
so
the whole.
It's all Windows all the time.
There's no
Yeah.
alternate keys, basically, because you're running on base.
So you like turn your Mac into a Windows?
It's a virtual Windows.
Okay.
Inside of like the screen. Yeah.
Well, I just learned something. That's great. So I don't know if you guys heard that. You turn your Mac into, you run Windows within your Mac environment and it runs like a Windows machine. So I'm guessing then that I can just show you how to use Windows Explorer and that's how this will work. So I'm on someone else's computer. So hopefully we're not gonna like give away any weird trade secrets, but I'm gonna put everything on my desktop today just because that's gonna make things easier for me. You need to make a place for all your workshop folders. So open up Windows Explorer is the first thing to do. I'm going to just right click and make a new folder. And I'm going to call it Intro to Arc. Please don't use spaces in your folders and file names. It's just a good idea. Okay, so that folder is where we're going to put our data. That folder is where we're going to tell Arc to put all its weird Arc files. And that's where we're working from here. So that's step one. The next step, I think, is going to be to download the workshop data. And I did not put the link in the reader. And
It is, if you go to the website and click on events, there's a link on your row.
okay, so if we go to maptimedavis.github.io and we go to the events, and I apologize for not putting this in the reader, and we come down here to Arc Pro, there's a link to the workshop materials,
Should work.
and this gets us to Box. Don't worry about logging in, you can close that, and then you're going to download this. It will zip it up for you. It's a copy of the reader, it's a copy of this thing if you're sitting here with the steps. So go ahead and you can download the I'm sorry, so if you go to
Oh, it's on the board for.
maptimedavis.github.io and you go to events.
Sorry, they're not separate web pages, unfortunately, so we can't just give you the link straight to the events. I'm going to fix that eventually.
And then if you scroll down in events section and find it's April 26th, Intro to Arc Pro, and there's a link over on the last column about the location, and there's a link to workshop materials. And is everybody? So while people are doing that, the next step after you get it is to go to your downloads folder and take those materials. I like to cut and paste, but move them however, oops, I don't want to do that. I want to cut this and then move the zip folder into your project folder. And we'll just give a minute for people to, because we need the data. So, Are there any other different questions while we're waiting for people to get the data downloaded?
So I wanted to make sure everyone has what they need, and nobody said they haven't, so.
Okay, so we're good
I think-
online.
I think online folks are good, they haven't told me otherwise.
Okay. I'm gonna keep going. We're good? Okay, good. Okay, so once you've got the material, I'll say this again. So once you have the materials downloaded, move them from your downloads into the folder you made for the workshop. And then extract them. Okay, so once it's extracted, you'll have a, this is the thing. The data is also zipped, so you have to extract that also. So go ahead and extract the data folder also. Okay, so now I ended up with kind of 2 levels because of all this zip stuff. So I have intro to ARC Pro Materials, and then data. Fine. So it's not the ideal path name, but that's kind of where we ended up. Has everybody had a chance to download the data, put it in their workshop folder, and extract both the big zip file and the data folder? There's the only thing in the data folder is campus food and campus food clean.
Also, as long as you know where your data is, it doesn't matter what the folder names are. I think I don't think we're gonna refer to them like in a programming situation, so
No.
you can just navigate to it wherever it ended up.
Right, and we just got a zip folder that was from campus,
Okay.
but it wasn't company at one, so we must have gone.
Okay,
Okay, so make sure, so yeah, make sure you go through the map time, not the registration link. You need to go, yeah,
It's a link called workshop data.
the work, no, not that one. So the one in events over here that says workshop materials, not the registration link, the workshop materials. And it should just take you right to Box.
also make sure you're getting the right one, because I think the spatial SQL is also a box link, so it'll look really similar, but it'll have different data.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep going and then, okay. So we got everything. Okay, so we're back here. So we've got the workshop folder, we have the data, we unzip the data. The next thing we're gonna do is open the software. And I did this out of order, so I really wanted people to get that downloaded. Okay, so find the software however you like to find the software and run it like any other application. And then you're going to get to a sign-in page. Is everyone here on the sign-in page? Yes, no. Okay. So to take advantage, as a UC Davis person, you can sign in here with your organization's URL. You click this arrow down, and then it's going to ask you to type in your organization's URL. And it is UC Davis. Ta-da! And then, so that's what you're going to type there. And then click continue. And then you get to do a regular Kerberos login. So if you have 2-factor authentication and a bunch of stuff, you get to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Kerberos login. And then I get to enter my credentials. No, I think it's just this. And then Duo is going to ask me a question. Okay, did we get this far? Kerberos, accept the license agreement, which basically says you're not gonna share the software with anybody, and you're not gonna take down the government and a bunch of other stuff. The usual stuff.
I don't think Esri can prevent us from protesting the government.
Protesting, sure. I think it's the overthrowing
Oh.
that might be. I don't know. I think
Yeah.
overthrowing might be under fair game at this point. Okay, so everyone get here to our login screen, or, you know, I'm calling this a splash screen. So here we're somewhere at, now I'm gonna switch. If you are here, you're gonna have to kind of, I'm gonna use my paper copy so that I can show you a thing. If you have any problems in general, if you have trouble with your account, if you have trouble logging in, if you have questions about your license, if you have questions about credits, which we won't go over today, but Esri support at ucdavis.edu. That's here in the thing. That's who you can go to ask for questions about that. If you have questions about how to use the software, that's different. There's lots of help and support online. You can contact friends. You can come to office hours. You can come to map time. There's lots of options. Use the spatial Slack channel at Davis. But if you need help with your license, you need a licensed person for campus. So support, Esri support at ucdavis.edu. All right. Are we ready for the next? Ready. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is so we made a folder to hold all our stuff. We need to make a project that holds all of our Esri files, because Esri is going to make a file to hold your actual map files. It's going to make a folder to hold a bunch of temporary files and tracking files and things that it creates. It's going to create a special sort of file called a file geodatabase, which is a spatial data storage format. So anytime you create new information, like if you do processes and you have an output, it's going to stick it in that default location if you don't tell it otherwise. So if you forget to tell it, that's where it goes. And so you want to make sure that's all in one place, right? Because if you don't tell it where to put it, it puts it in some like C users temp app, yeah, like, and then you have to find it. So it's a really, really, really good idea to just let it create its own project for you, and it will manage all the extra files that it kind of makes for you. I'm sorry, I'm going to take this off so I stop hitting the microphone. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the new project is going to be a new map. So go ahead and click on map, and you have to give it a name. The name that we are going to give this today is Demo Project. You can call it whatever you want, but this is what I called it. And the place we would like to put it is not C users, blah, blah, blah. It is wherever you set up your workshop folder. So you click this little browser thing, and I put mine on the desktop, Intro to Arc. And then I ended up with like 8 layers of things. So I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to put this. I had you guys do this out of order, so there might be some file fixing we have to do. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to put it on the desktop, and I'm going to put it right here in Intro to Arc. Okay, that's my Intro to Arc folder, the very top folder that I made. This is where I'm going to tell ArcGIS Pro to put my geodatabase and all the extra files it's going to make. Put it right there. Say, okay. So now your new project is going to be named Demo Project, and it's going desktop, Intro to Arc. Is everyone with me? And make sure this is checked. This is important. Create a folder. Okay? Okay. Okay, now finally we have opened the software. Ta-da! Okay, we are in. So I just want to open up Windows Explorer again and show you what we have. We have on the, for me, it's on the desktop. Okay. Intro to Arc is our workshop. And inside our workshop, we have this demo project. And you can see in Explorer, it looks kind of different. but you can see this geodatabase. That's a file geodatabase. This index thing it made, an import log. This demo project.aprx, that's what's your actual like map project. So if you wanted to click, like just navigate to this thing and double click it, it would open up in ArcPro automatically. Like the way that you open up a Word document by navigating to your Word document and double click. This is your file, your .aprx. And then I actually don't know what an ATBX file is, but this is why we make a folder and just let it handle it. Okay, so that's what's in your demo project. That's what got created. Okay, so we can close Explorer, and then what we can see here in our catalog at the side, and we'll take a quick break and make sure everyone's all caught up here first. But here you'll see in over here on the right side of your screen, you've got this panel that says catalog, and at the top you're at this little tab that says project, and this is all the things in your project. And if you expand folders, you see here's your home folder, is that folder you made, your demo project. And in there, now it looks different. Your geodatabase looks like a thing. Arc knows what this is, right? It's not just a file now, it knows what it is. Oh, okay, and ATBX is a toolbox. There we are. See, makes sense because it's got a picture now. What you don't see is your data because I messed up with that. So we're going to either have to move the data folder into the project folder here or add a connection to it. There's two ways to do that. So why don't we do that before we take, before allergy season, before we take a break. Let's get that all set up and then we can take a short break and then come back and mess with some stuff. So we have all our data. We can see it. No, sorry. Imagine if I didn't have a mouse. Okay, here in Internet Explorer, you know we have our data, but we put it in the materials next to this. So two options. We can, I think if you're up for moving files around, you can take this data folder. Actually, we can just copy it because it doesn't matter. Take this data folder and we can copy it. So I did right click and copy. And then go back up to your intro to ARC and put it, double click in the demo project and then right click and paste. And now you have data in your project home folder. That data folder should be in your project home folder. Okay. And then what? It's not there. That's because our catalog's very picky. So you come here to folders and you right click and refresh. And it should show up. Where is it? In here, this folder, refresh this one. Aha. So go to the demo project itself. You would think that it would work that way, but it didn't. Demo project, right click and refresh and you get the data. The other way to do it, so you only have to do it one way, but if that moving files around is a drag, you can come up here to folders and you can right click and add a folder connection. And then you can browse to whatever you want, like this ArcPro materials. You can just keep double clicking until you find what you want and you can pick the data folder and click OK. And then you have another folder here in your folder that is your data. And you can make that go to anywhere. So if you have like I sometimes have one place where I keep all like the statewide roads and all the counties. And instead of having a copy of that in every single project I work on, I have like a library. It's a data library. And then I have the project that I'm working on with all the little stuff that I'm doing. And so my project is here in this demo project. And then I add a folder that connects to my data library, and then it's kind of all in one place in my project. And that APRX file stores all those pointers to all those different places. It doesn't save copies of the information in the APRX, it stores pointers to all those things. So when you save your project, which you should do, next time you open it up, those connections will still be there, so you don't have to keep making them over and over. So that's kind of getting started on getting your files and getting your folders and getting the software open. It's kind of a little bit of a startup. paused here, like get over that hump. But here we are in the interface, and I want to give everyone a 5-minute break to just make sure they've got things where they want it and stretch and whatever. And we'll just pause the recording for, I think we can pause the recording. I'm going to leave everything on my screen. I'll be here for questions if you need it. But let's just take 5 minutes. This says 10:52, but it's not 10:52.
Well, it's 10:41 currently.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so how about at 10:46, we'll come back. Okay, welcome back. So now we get into stuff that's a little more exciting because now we get to push some buttons. So this is Esri's ArcGIS Pro. What we have here in the middle is our map, map panel, map work area, whatever you want to call it. This is called a map. The thing that you print out and give to somebody and make it look nice with labels and a legend, that is called a layout. So that's a little bit of vocabulary that changes depending on when in space and time you are using the software and if you're using QGIS or other things. But so here we have our map. And what we're going to do is add data to the map. Just like the pointers in our catalog, it's everything in this project. It's like in Word, when you type in a bunch of stuff, like that's saved in the document, and so is all of the styling. And like if you build hyperlinks in your document, that's all saved within that project. But then you can go, like the data sets that you use here, you can go put them in another map and kind of make new pointers and style them different in different maps. So it's pretty cool. It's a link to the data that you have stored on your computer. So the way this works, this is if you've used any Windows product, this is going to feel pretty similar in some ways. You've got a bunch of, like, you've got your project. So this is how you get to like the guts of things that you don't usually really need in a button pushing workflow. You've got different ribbons at the top that you can click through, and they all have different sets of buttons. So usually when you open it up, the first thing you get to is your map ribbon. This Explore, you can see as you push different buttons, you get different. I've clicked the select button, and now you can see my pointer looks like it. Can you see that? It's a pointer with a little rectangle. So if I wanted to select something, I click and draw a box, right? Like we've all seen this kind of interactive toolbar stuff. So as you change these different buttons, here's a ruler. You can measure things. You can, right? This Explore button gives you an arrow. This is like any map you've done on Google Maps. You click, you drag, right? Your scroll wheel works in and out. And then one thing I do all the time, if you've got a mouse, I don't actually know how to do it on a laptop. No, there's a way, but if you click your scroll wheel and then drag, you drag. But if you've got this little arrow thing, if you're using the Explore tool and your cursor looks like this little hand, all you have to do is click on the map and do it. But if you're doing something else, your select tool, and then you want to pan around, you can hold down your scroll wheel and pan around. That's something super duper handy. Okay, so as you click through, you've got different, you can make a new map, a whole new map, or you can make a layout, which is the thing with the legend and the stuff. There's all kinds of things you can make. There's a toolbar for analysis, lots of stuff, right? If you're going to edit things, there's a whole toolbar for that. So this is very similar like in Word. As you click around, you get different menus and interactive stuff. On the sides, you can see you've got this art catalog pane. We kind of went over this already, but you've got these panes on the end, panes or panels or whatever you want to call them on the sides. Catalog shows you where all your folders are. We don't currently have anything in our demo project. We do have something in our data folder. Oh, I've got data. There you go. So we have our campus food and I gave you an extra copy in case you totally mess something up, which guess what? I mess something up on a daily basis. So that's why I put an extra clean blank thing. You will notice that the different kinds of spatial files have different kinds of pictures here. So this is something different. GeoDatabase has this little, like, that's the database icon, and it's got this little picture of a house that's tiny. You can't see it up here, but that is a picture of a house so that you know that if you forget where to tell it to go, this is where it's going by default. This is your home folder. This is your home GeoDatabase. This is your home toolbox. If you look at these, you can see these are green. They're shape files. It's a different format. And I'm just going to show you again in Windows Explorer, when you look in your data folder, it's actually, Windows thinks this is a whole collection of files. But the software, ArcGIS, QGIS, this will read it as one. All of these things together is one shapefile. And so you always need to keep all of these pieces together. And I therefore recommend, if you ever need to move like this shapefile, if I wanted to put it somewhere else, do it here in Catalog in your thing so that you can keep all the pieces together. That's good practice. Or zip things up or put them in folders or something. So you don't, because if you lose one of the pieces, you can't open it anymore. So that's, so this is Catalog. These windows are kind of cool. If you don't want it pinned to the side, you can move it over there. Oh, and I always forget how to get it back. You can put the pin back up. You can minimize it. You can undock it. There's a bunch of stuff you can do to make your thing look however you want. So what I'd like you to do now is just take this, just click and drag this campus food shape right into your map. And you will see it automatically zooms to the location of the points, and it picks a color for you and it draws it for you, and it puts it over here in your table of contents. And also you will see that because this has been activated, now we have some new ribbons up here, new tabs up here for ribbons. So now we have some things that we can do specifically for our vector data feature layer. And we can do things about labeling for our vector data. And there's stuff about the data for it. You can open the attribute table. You can get to different sort of things. If I click here in my table of contents to my vector tile layer, now there's a different set of menus. This is all very dynamic. And sometimes it can be a little hard to find what you're looking for because you're not clicked on the right thing. So if you are ever missing, like, where's my attribute table? Just make sure you've got the right thing activated here in your website. So this vector tile layer, things like the transparency, you can change that. And if I change back to campus food, that goes away, and now we've got transparency and data. Okay, so things change as you click around. This table of contents, or this is where all the data is, I don't know, linked. I don't know how to say that. You can get all the information. You can get to a lot more features and all the information. If you right in your table of contents, if you right click, you get a whole other menu of stuff you can do. You can get to the properties. You can open the attribute table. You can zoom to the layer. You can turn on the labels. You can open the symbology pane, which we'll do in a minute. You also have other contents views. Like if this one is the data source. So if you're pulling in things from a whole bunch of different places, sometimes you can get confused on where things are, and this will show you the folder. This shows you which things are selectable, which things are editable. This is snapping. This is what's being labeled. This is new in 3.2. I don't actually know what it is. There we are. We're definitely not going to get to that today. So regular contents. All right, so we've got this added. We're going to skip section 7 because we already did it. We downloaded the data. We've got the points on there. And so we are going to move on. We've added the data. So we're in section 8 if you're reading along at home. We've added the data. We've looked at the properties. looked at the contents. I might have more time than I thought. Okay, so now, this is great. Nobody ever has more time than they thought. So, okay, so we've added the points, but as you can see, we have some default colors and default shapes, and they're pretty hard to see. And so we're gonna wanna change that. And this is something that's like the first thing you wanna do when you make a map. So you can click, if you just want to change the color, you can right click on the symbol itself. But if you want to get to a whole bunch of other stuff, you can right click on the layer to open the symbology pane. Or you can click up here, like this is activated, feature layer, symbology, that'll open the symbology pane. And once you have it open, it is like, you have to close it. So it's usually just open, and it comes here at the bottom right here next to this catalog. The catalog's here, your symbology's here, right? And when you do labels, that'll come here. When you do like every tools and stuff, they just stack up on top. So that's where to get to them. So right now we've got a single symbol. We're not going to do it by category. There's different ways to do this. We're going to keep this simple here. And we can change our symbol. We can make it bigger. So if we click on this circle, we get this next layer down of menus where you've got a gallery of symbols, and you can pick out squares or circles or whatever you want to have. You can make custom ones. You can load from other libraries, as it just goes on and on. If this isn't enough for you that you can search, you can add more stuff. And you can go to the properties of the symbol. So this is the gallery, and you can see I'm clicking on this next thing over. Here's the properties, and here's where you're gonna change. Here's where you're gonna change like your colors and stuff. So what we want to do, you can make this look. This is your map. You can do whatever you want there. But the first thing we're gonna do is change the color, and you can do, so the shape fill symbol, shows you what it looks like currently. So if you just want the middle color, just change the inside color, you click on the box here next to color, and this looks really different on this machine. Orange dust is what I picked in my thing, which is usually, there it is, orange dust, third from the bottom, third from the left. Okay, and then for the outline, I picked Cherry Cola, which is, I think, this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it is, Cherry Cola. If you hover over the right spot, it gives you a name. And then these are pretty, you can either click apply to see how it's going, or you can change down here, auto apply, and then it'll update it as you go. These are still pretty small, so like I think the orange stands out nice on the green. I like that. So then I changed this to really big. I made them really big so you could see them. 17, and there you go. So I've got these gigantic, great big points that show spots to get a sandwich. So that is how you change the color and the symbol. Any questions about that? You get back to the symbology menu with this little arrow. And then the next thing you have to do is go up here to the top where it says save project, save your project. Because you should save as often, I don't know how, but it's not a grammatically correct sentence, but save as often as you don't want to repeat yourself, right? So if you did 3 things and you don't want to do those 3 things again, save. If you did 15 things, that's a lot of things. Save. Like, save a lot. There's no autosave yet, I guess. Save all the time. There is an autosave? Online or on desktop? Right. Did you?
I actually have a better copy.
Yeah, do you want to use it? Yeah, it's storing it somewhere, but you should save it because you really don't want to do things over. Okay, so any questions so far? Did anyone pick any crazy symbols? No? Okay. So I've been telling you that these are, I've I've been telling you that these are where you can get a sandwich, but how do you know? So we can see the points here, but we're going to want to take a look at the attributes inside. And that's really where things start getting fun about GIS, is that you don't just have to, you can click on things and you can find out information. So one way to do this is you can go over here to your map and you can find your, oh no, that's the pop-up. Nope. I never do it this way, so I forgot how to do it. You can do the identify button, which I'm having a moment. New pop-ups, yeah, just this one. There it is. No, I was right. Okay, so you can just click on the feature and it'll pop up the information. So I don't know if you saw what I did. So you make sure you've got your Explorer tool and you've got your little pointer finger, and you can just click on the thing and it will show you information about each individual feature. Ta-da! So now you can see, but if you want to look at the whole thing, you can see there's a name and a description and a location. If you want to look at the whole thing, you can activate your layer. You can go to data and click attribute table, or no, I don't want to rename you, thank you. Or you can right click, go to attribute table. We're on section 10 if you're reading along. And this opens the attribute table, and this shows you everything. Here's all the fields in there. Here's what the field names are on the top, and then the data inside. And so you can see how many points there are. It says there's 8 of them. Hide this. I should have done that. Okay. 8 points total. You can select by attributes. You can do a bunch of stuff in here. So this is I always feel like this is the exciting part of a GIS. Like, this is the guts. You can see where everything is, but this is all the information. Here's what you can do with it. So that's how you get to your attribute table. And one of the fun things you can do is ask questions and find information in your attribute table. So we're going to go to, you can select by, if you've opened your attribute table, on the menu here, you've got select by attributes. And this will pop up another dialog. You can also get to it on the map ribbon. There's a select by attributes. You can also right click and select by attributes. Select by attributes is something we'll do a lot. So that's why there's a lot of ways to do it. Okay, so this will pop up. And so now we can build a query and we can say, all right, where, these are some sandwich, Naomi keeps telling me these are sandwich spots. I see a listed names. Maybe I can pick one and maybe I can see if any of them take Aggie Cash, or you can ask some questions. So we're going to do an easy one first, just to get a feel for the, building a query. So select by attributes, you got your input rows is the layer you're selecting from. You're going to make a new selection, but you could also add to selection, subtract, add subsets. There's a lot of options. We're just going to go with new. In the where field, we're going to pick name, and then we get some more options. So it's equal to, and then we have the list of names. It's automatically populated. So pick one. Okay, so let's find the silo market, and we can click apply, and then we can click OK. And you see, well, so now my map's gotten very small, but you can see now this one's selected. You can just look at the selected features if you have them, and you can highlight them so that if you had like a bunch of selected features and you just wanted to highlight some out of your subset, you can do that. You can flip the selection, right? There's this button here, switch. So like, okay, this one's the silo market. I don't know why you do this, but Those are all the not silo markets. Not a good example here, but do that. You can think of somewhere close to that. So that's a really simple, like find it by location. Where is it on the map? You can zoom to it. And then, yeah, as you zoom in, you get more information. If you don't want to stay zoomed, you want to go back to where you were on the map ribbon. There's this navigate. You can go to the previous extent and go back. Okay, so now we got all our points. Okay, so that was pretty easy. We found the silo. What if we wanted to find everything that was, what if we wanted to see if anything takes Aggie cash? Now don't take this as gospel. I just guessed which ones take Aggie cash. I figured the ones in the dorms did. So, we can clear our selection so we can start out. Actually, you don't have to clear the selection because when we make our selection, we'll say we're making a new selection. So it'll automatically just make a new selection unless you tell it otherwise. But you can clear it or do a new one. So next thing we want to do, I'm on section, it should be on your thing, but I'm on the second query that we're building. So you open select by attributes again if it was closed. We're going to look in the description. And now we're going to just see if it has the text somewhere in there because we can't, it's a lot. It might be in there somewhere. We just don't know. So we're going to type in Aggie cash and see if any of these, anywhere in the description does it say Aggie cash. And now we've said contains the text Aggie cash. This is it's only going to look for, if you put in lowercase, it won't work. If you're looking for Aggie cash, uppercase, it will work. We're not going to get into the advanced queries right now, but just for now, what you need to know is you put your thing in, it's looking for an exact match, and you don't need to put quotes. And you click apply. And as you can see, I'm going to close this. Now we have 3 records selected. You should have gotten 3 records. And you can zoom to those records. You can see that here they are. Like I said, you can look at just the selected records here on the bottom. And then if you wanted to know, okay, we got Segundo, okay, which one's Segundo? You click over here and highlight it in yellow, see where that is. So there's a bunch of different ways to click through there. And then once you have a subset, you can do things with that subset, like you can do processing on just the selected features. You can do things like that. And so something to watch out for when you're doing your processing is if you have a subset you might not know you do. And you sometimes make sure that you are working on the amount of data set that you want. If you are meaning to use your whole data set, then make sure you don't have anything selected before you run a process. If you would like to work with the subset, then make sure that is selected before you run a process. Okay, so that's how you do a query and select some data. And I don't know what to say, but that is what I had planned to get through for the day. So now we have a lot of time for either questions, or I can show questions or audience requests, or I can go on and show you. I don't really want to show you how to, I'll show you how to make a buffer, but I don't really want to get into coordinate systems on this particular day. I can show you how to make a map layout. So let's just start with any questions.
Give the folks online a second to type things.
Okay. Does anyone have a request? Would anyone like to see how to make a map layout? Yes, we've got, yes, make a map layout. Okay. So let's clear our selection. Let's close
Mine
that.
also agrees. Map layout it is.
Okay. Well, save your work. Okay, so now we have these things. So there's no reader for this. I mean, so you're just going to have to watch what I'm doing. Sorry.
I think there's also a lot of good blog posts and things like that online too. So if you need reference material later, I think a good Google search will turn up.
Yeah.
Too.
There's a lot out there, and anyway. So, but for today, you just have to follow along. So, like I said,
real quick, for folks there, if you want the power strip, go ahead and move it. We put it where we thought people would want to be, but clearly we got it wrong. Yes, there's a disparity. For folks on Zoom, we have a power strip at the front and everyone's sitting at the back.
Yeah. No one wants to be on camera with me.
No one would be on camera, actually. Sorry. It wouldn't be map time if there wasn't some in-room shuffling going on.
Yeah. Okay, so we have all these great. Oh, does anyone want to see labels? We can label these things. Okay, great. Let's start there, then we'll make a map. Okay, labeling is both easy and like it's a little bit like unnecessarily complicated, but there's a good reason for it. But so if you go and make sure your thing is activated here in your catalog, you've got this labeling option, and you've got all these label class or whatever. But really, all you have to do is turn on the checkbox, and then you'll get your labels. So you can change your field. So if I really wanted to show you they were on, this is not a helpful label, but that's just showing you that it works. So you can change the name. And if you don't like how it looks, there's a whole extra labeling, like you can get a whole labeling panel. So if you want, you can make these bigger, and you can make them, you can put, where, how do I get this? If you click this little arrow, you get all your, you get the whole, see how it opened down here and get your whole labeling panel. And you can put class, here we go. You just have to scroll down here. You saw I moved my menu out of the way and I can scroll down. Halo. You can put a little, you can put like slightly transparent white around it so they pop out a little. You can pick the same orange dust if you really wanted to for the, wait, oh, that's the outline color, sorry. You can make them orange if you want. That doesn't look good, but I'm just saying you can like you can do whatever you want. You can change the colors of the individual labels. You can make label classes, which means you can, like, if you wanted to, if you had roads and you wanted to have like the highways labeled one way and the surface streets labeled one way and the interstates one way, right? It's all one layer, but you can do it. You can label things based on the attributes in the table. You can do it differently. So that's, you can make different classes and stuff, but you don't have to. You can just turn them on. And there's all kinds of stuff up here you can do on where to place it and conflict rules and how to place unplaced labels. And this is be a whole workshop just on labeling, but it will place it for you. So that's how you label your features. Save that. We can also show you, I will show you how to make a map, but we really have time right now. So we can go back to the symbology. Right now we have everything as a single symbol, like all the points are the same. But if we wanted to, we can use a category for symbols. So it means we can pick an attribute in the table someplace and you can see, put it all back. But you can pick which field, and if you do location as your field, we've got off-campus and on-campus locations. So you can color them in different colors. And you saw that it all, now once I put it back to tiny little dots and default colors. You got tons of choices with your color schemes, but I actually kind of like this purple yellow thing. You do have this option that's kind of hidden here. It says more. Format all symbols. So if I like the colors, I can change the size here back to 17 so that we can see it. And now we've got yellow for the off-campus ones. I don't know if this counts as off-campus, so just roll with it, but purple for the other ones. Okay, and now they're labeled. You can save it. And then we can make a map. I can a map. We can make a layout. They used to be called what, data frames and maps, and now they're maps and layouts. And QGIS called it something else. Okay, so insert, new layout. And you get to pick from all these different, I'm just gonna pick a letter. And so you should notice two things happened, right? There's nothing, there's no symbology here anymore. The layout opens up. Here is another, your map is here with all your stuff. Here's your layout here, and it's blank. In catalog, you can see where it goes. It should have, yeah, it's saved here. Your maps are here, your layouts are here. You won't see those things separately in, right? If you go in here, there's no, you've just got your APRX here in your Windows file. But when you, there won't be separate maps and layouts. They're not separate files on your computer. They're all stored in this APRX file. But here in catalog, you can see them separately and get to them. Okay, so this is blank. We want to put a map frame. Can you see up here? This is a map frame. The map frame is the reference to, now you can either do default, the map frame is the reference to that map that we made with all our stuff on it. You can put multiple map frames in your layout. You can do a bunch of different stuff. So you just want to pick the map frame that you're referencing. You can put guides here if you want, but I'm not making a masterpiece. So you just drag this in here. And now it's linked. So one of the interesting things, okay, so you get all the service credits in this. One of the interesting things is that once you put this here in your map, and you're in layout view. So the tools that you have up here for layout to move and select and pan around, those apply to the whole layout, right? Right. So if I zoom in, I'm zooming in on my layout because I'm in a layout mode now. If I want to mess around and move the data in the map, I have to click on the map frame, make sure map frame, and then I can right click and activate it. And now I am, when I use my scroll wheel or my Explorer tool, now it's messing with the stuff in the map. So if I put this map on here and I was like, oh no, I want to show more of Yolo County or whatever, right? It's two separate tools. So you have to activate the map frame to move things around. And then there's this button here that says layout. It'll go back to layout mode. And now my tools are interacting with the layout. Okay, so that's something different about layout. And I can make this a little smaller. Okay, so I can put a gigantic legend. All right, so save your work, save a lot.
Question.
Yes.
So what if we want to change the orientation? So maybe like you want to, like the layout itself, maybe you want to change it.
From portrait to landscape? You want me to do that live, huh? Okay.
Well, you said you're taking requests.
Yeah, I'm taking requests. Okay. I'm pretty sure you go to the properties of the layout. Yeah, so you right click and you click properties, and then you get this page setup, general matter, and then you can see the page. Oh, it looks much better. That was a good suggestion. I like that. Yeah. Okay, so like you saw, I right click, properties, page setup, and you can switch back and forth. I'm going to leave it like this. I like that.
Question from online.
Yes.
How do you do this?
Okay, I can show you how to do an inset map. Yes. Let me show you how to do a legend first, and then we'll do an inset map. Okay, so first, if you want to add any of the surrounds, map surrounds, you've got up here on this insert menu, north, scale, legend. Click legend, draw where you want it. I'm making a rectangle, just drag and drop. And it puts your legend in. There's a lot you can do with this. This is not how we want this to look. That is ugly. So first of all, you can talk to your map, right? Here's your table of contents in your map. In your layout view, here is the map and its table of contents. So you can talk to the table of contents in layout view, which I think is really nice. So if you activate this campus food layer and go to the symbology, we can, in more, it says show all other values. We'll turn that off, and then it turns off in the legend. So that's nice. If we don't like this name campus food, we can say, I clicked on it once, I clicked on it again to activate it. You can also right click to rename. I'm just going to call this sandwich spots. Okay, and now it's sandwich spots on our legend. And if you don't want to show the subcategories, you can go to the legend item. So here's in your map frame, right? These are the items in your map frame, the table of contents in your map. This is your layout table of contents, your legend, and your sandwich spots. You can right click here and go to properties, and now you've got a whole set of menus you can mess with here. And you can turn off the layer name, which we now turn off sandwich spots. You can turn off headings, which is what we want, or you can turn off the labels, right? You can mess with all this stuff. You can mess with the text. You can mess with anything you want. I actually love the legends in this, so I could go on and on, but this is how you can get to very specific little things on how big the columns are and all that stuff. So now we have a legend, and I'm going to save. So the next thing we want to do is, I think that's a great idea. We can put an inset map, which says, where on earth is this, right? We can show this in the context of California. I don't have a default like California outline, but the way I would handle this is, like I said, you can add as many map frames as you want to this, and they can point to different maps. So what I would do here is insert a new map. Okay, so now we have map 1, and it's got our default extent and everything, and we can just kind of zoom in to, like, I don't know, here, whatever. And then now it's called map 1. Let's give this a different name. You can do that. You can rename. It's going to be in here somewhere. You know, click. We'll call this inset map. Okay. Now we can go back to, so now I don't have anything to put in here. I'm just going to use the default stuff. But we can come back to this layout, and then we can say insert. We're on the insert frame, so now we do map frame again. You saw a little arrow. Now you see there's more options here. First, it was just this map that we had. Now we see inset map as an option. So you click on that. Now you can draw a rectangle here, and it's showing California. Let's zoom out a little. Like I said, we got to activate it. Right click, activate it. And I'm going to use my scroll wheel to pull out a little bit so you can, like, see where we are, kind of, and maybe pan. I don't know, maybe there. Okay. Okay, and so now we're going to go back to the layout. And if you, okay, I have to remember how to do this. If you would like to show the extent of this map on this map, you go to Insert, Extent Indicator, and click Map Frame. Show the extent of map frame. Yes, because, right, so this one is called Map Frame 1. Let's rename it so we can keep this straight. This is going to be called Inset Frame. Okay, and then this is called, right, Inset Frame. I'll turn it off. and turn it on. There's your inset frame. Here's your map frame, the map that we made. Okay, I'm just blinking them for you. So now with inset frame selected, activated, I can insert an extent indicator, and it asks, well, what extent? And you say, I want you to show the extent of the map frame on my map, please. You click there and you get, oh, this tiny little. Okay, that didn't work. So again, we're gonna activate it, zoom in a little bit. Okay, so see. Okay. Where's Davis? I've lost you. Right? Okay, so let's do it like that. Okay. Okay, and so now you can see this showing up. You at least got Vacaville, right? Not totally helpful. Sometimes it helps to make things. The other thing that you can say is the symbol here. Right now it's outlined with, sometimes it helps to like make it bright red and make it really thick, right? So like, oh, there you are, great. Okay, so that's how you make a, there we go. And so that's how you do an extent rectangle. Like I said, not a masterpiece, but here we are. I thought of something else that you guys might want to see, but I forgot. So does that answer that question? We're good? All right. Anybody else have questions? We still have time. So taking requests and questions.
Alice online says, thank you for showing that.
Yeah.
It's easy.
It is. It is. It's easy. It's actually, it's very, it is easy. Extent indicator. So to edit it, I don't like, it's, now that I'm here and it's on, now I'm going to poke at it. It's too thick.
Hard to leave it that map, right?
Right?
I'm loving how similar this is to QGIS because that's what I'm super familiar with, but it has similar concepts where like each item has properties that you can then change. So
Each items have properties.
it's nice to know that everybody's kind of using a similar concept.
Yes. Yeah. I had a, ooh, we have time for that. We can do it. And then now I've forgotten. And you can even, there's even a way with these to show the leader. Yeah, so you can even like, right? So now you put an indicator that says this goes to here. So I think it was line the midpoint. Yeah, so this goes here. So you can put lines in there. So you can change that too. So everything is red and it looks the same. There's something in the map. We did categories. We did.
You want to show like north arrow?
Oh yeah, we could put some north. We could put some north arrows.
What else do I put on a map? What would I need to know?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'll show a scale bar because those are good. Yeah. So and that's the other thing. Now I've got two map frames on here, so got to make sure like if I'm putting a scale bar, got to make sure it's not the inset frame scale bar. It's the map frame scale bar because otherwise you'll get some crazy. You want to show the correct scale. And so again, you just click it and drag and you have a thing. And then this is infinitely customizable. Also, you can just pick, you can pick them up here when you start. But if you can do bars and things and this, and if you don't, I like doing things like this, alternating scale bar. Okay, wait, I'm going to end up with two scale bars here. So delete that one. I just used my delete key to delete the one I already had because I didn't like it. So here's my scale bar. And then I can say, okay, I don't want these first divisions. I want my labels different. I show 1,000, like you can do how many. Right now it's divisions. right now, if I change this, like, oh, I want it smaller, it'll change the division value, but I can say, no, I want it to always be the right number of things, and I can change it from miles to meters. I can change this is anything you want. You can make it fatter, skinnier. That's all in here in the element properties. Like once you have it selected, you've got access to anything you want to do here. And so same with north arrow. You can use this little arrow, pick one you like, just basic north arrow. Make it really big. Make it really small. And you can make it transparent. You can change the font. There's a lot you can do with these things. Again, once this is, you can see, I'm showing with my hand, it doesn't help. In this element toolbar, north arrow, here's all you can rotate it, you can true north, there's all these things you can do. When I click on the scale bar options. When I click on the legend options. It's dynamic like that.
There's a question online about showing coordinate ticks around your map.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. That is the grid. It's called a graticule, and again, so you can either just do the ticks around, or measured grid. So it again, just make sure your correct map frame is selected. Right. So this one is active. You're in the insert menu tab ridden thing, and you're over here at this button that says grid. And I'll just take the first one, and then you've got all kinds of options. Like if you don't want to show the grid lines, you can, I think you can just delete them like that. You can just take them off, and it's got labels, ticks. So ticks 1 is like the big, I don't know. One of them is the big ticks, one is the little ones. That's pretty straightforward there. Looks nice. I like that. I didn't like the grid, but there we go. But this would be a very handy thing. Like if you were making if this was a map for campus and you wanted to show, like break it up by grids and say, Bartow Market isn't like the old school navigation. What am I thinking? Atlases, where you say by grid, E4 or whatever. You could build something like that right into your thing. And I took out the grids. I thought, maybe I want them, so I can add the grid lines back in, and I can move them down, right? And can adjust the intervals, whatever I want to do. I really don't like them, so I'm going to take them off. that's a lot.
Maybe they weren't. Somebody online is asking about if you can show how to remove the service layer credits from the map for me.
I can. You should always give credit for your imagery. The question is how to remove the service credit layers. A good thing you can do is move them, but you can't move them because they're dynamic, like they're built in. But what you can do is under additional. It's not additional sounds. Hang on. It is dynamic text, wherever that is. Oh, here it is, right here, dynamic text. Okay, so this is going to be under space. No. Which one is it? It's map credits somewhere. Credits? Service credit layers. Okay. Service credit layers is what you need. So as long as the service credit layers are somewhere, they will not be on your layout, right? So did you see how I added for dynamic text? I added service credit layers and I put them here on my surround. And then since they're still in the map, it turned off the dynamic map here. And these service credits go with this map. Oh, and they go with both of them. Okay. So if you, I think after the recording is off, I will add another secret tip.
Yes, I have some suggestions as well, but
Yeah.
I think it's worth mentioning that this only comes up because you're using a background layer that is generated by Esri. And if you use your own data for background data, you don't have to do this. So like if
Yes.
you're using natural earth data, for example, it's open licensed. And the license doesn't even require attribution because it's meant for journalism, where they don't have space for really big attribute kind of thing. So I would recommend taking a look at natural earth for cartography purposes, especially for academics. Because otherwise you have to, when you publish in a journal, you have to prove you have permission to use everything, and it will make your life easier if you pick something with a very open license.
Yeah.
Having just been through that last week.
Yeah.
with stuff.
Well, and the other thing that happens is this is the same, like you can see, this is the, you probably can't see, it's tiny, but the service credits are for both maps. They're getting stacked here. I can't remember how to separate them, but this is duplicated. So you can, there's good reasons to want to just turn one of these off, even though it's right, and still give credit. And you should give credit for your imagery and all of the data. And like when I make maps, I make sure that I put this, I usually put the scale somewhere, and I make sure I credit, like if you were going to use, you feel free to use my really special data set here about sandwich spots. Like I put it out there for everyone, but if I'm using something from, state of California, I make sure I put credits down here at the bottom where I got it and what year, what coordinate system the map is in, all that information, so that if someone picks up the map and they're like, what is this? Then they know, like, okay, I got the county layer from the open data portal wherever, right? So that someone can recreate your map or check your work or just know how old it is. It's really helpful. But yeah, I've got some other, like this gets into fiddly, and I don't want to stand up here and do super fiddly, but that's where the service credits are dynamic text. So you can put them over here, and you could change the color, make it like a lighter gray or something. You could just make it blend in a little bit, whatever, but it should be there. You should credit your imagery. Oops. If I just tried to use the arrow to move the text, I'm not moving the text, I'm moving the map. If you want to use the arrow to move the text, shift, arrows. There's a million shortcuts, keyboard, mouse, all of it. Those are worth looking up online. We still have a little bit of time, and I still can't remember the cool thing that I thought would be cool to show you. So if anyone else has a suggestion. Oh yeah, you guys want to see a buffer? Okay, let's do it. So let's go back to our map. And, so what's like kind of cool, it's like we're in the map and I can pan and zoom around. It won't change it in the layout, right? The layout is tied. You put it in, you set where you were going to go, it's there. You have to specifically activate it, and then you move around independently of what's in your map. Okay, so let's go back to our map. Let's buffer our points. I love it. So we're in our map. We've got the sandwich spots or campus food or whatever it is called in your world activated. So one of the ribbons is analysis. Got this red toolbox. Click on red toolbox. Or you can look here. It's one of the favorites. Pairwise buffer is the tool we're looking for. So you can either click it up here in the ribbon where it says pairwise buffer. You can pick this up here, or you can search for it. There's a million tools. You will not see any locks on your toolboxes because you have a university license, but if you just have a basic license, some of these things you'll get a lot, there'll be a picture of a lock next to it, so you can't use it. And that's a lot of the like topographic, like 3D modeling stuff is usually an extra level of stuff. Defense tools, like we've got everything just pan through here for a really long time. But the basic analysis, extract, overlay, right? Clip, intersect, identity, union, lots of stuff you can do. So simple one that we can do that just kind of makes sense, pairwise buffer. So you can double click on it and now you've got all the tool input parameters. So the features we want to use, and we want to look at all of them, not a selection. So make sure you don't have anything selected. We're going to pick our sandwich spots. And you see it populated this by itself, sandwich spots, pairwise buffer. When I do a buffer, I usually like to put somewhere in the feature class what the buffer distance was so that I remember later. But for now, we'll just do this. And then if you click in there, you can see it gave you a path. This is the default path that we picked, the demo project. Right? This is where it's going to go. It's going to go in here, demo project into your geodatabase. If you do nothing, if you just say sandwich spots, that's it. It fills this in for you and it sticks it in your default geodatabase. That's where you go look for it. Okay. So we get to pick a unit and a distance. What do you guys think? Like I did 500 feet, but we can do whatever you want. How about 1,000 feet? Like, where can we walk in like 7 minutes? International feet. I have a whole thing about international feet in my reader. Don't dissolve them. Dissolve them like, so if you have, we're going to have a point, we're going to have like circles around them. If you dissolve them, you won't have individual circles. You'll have like funny like egg-shaped blob things, right? Like amoebas. So there are good reasons to dissolve. There's a lot of good, there's a time and a place. It depends on what you want to do. But if you want to see for each point how far away you are, you don't want to dissolve it because you won't know where that other edge is. So at this point, don't dissolve them. And then you just click run. A lot of times, oh, I remembered it now. A lot of times if you did, like if you're going along a road and you want 500 feet off a road, each segment of that road gets treated differently as a buffer, and you would want to dissolve that into all one continuous space. Same with often with polygons. And there could be reasons for points too. I'm just standing here and can't think of one.
There's one. If you, let's say we wanted to find out where the area was that was, in this case, 1,000 feet from a food place. But we wanted to estimate the area. We might not want all of the overlap because that would give us extra, like we double count some spaces. So if we just wanted to know the area, we'd want to dissolve.
Okay, so you can see we've got now, and it colored it in for us. And this is, I'm not going to go into coordinate systems, but this is because this is because of how your map is displaying it. They kind of look like ovals, but they're circles. If you look at them, you always get some distortion when you take the globe and you smoosh it out flat. And so that's just part of that. I'm going to leave it at that. But if you start zooming in, you can see like we're over here somewhere. We're within 1,000 feet of a place to go buy sandwiches here and here. So that's pretty good, right? So you can do some really advanced sort of searching or intersecting. If you zoom in a little more, all the buildings start showing up. Now the buildings are in the background image. We don't have, you can get them. I don't currently have them, but if you had your buildings selected, you could, if you had all of these building shapes, I'm going to turn this off for a sec. If you had all these little building shapes here in your layer as vector things instead of just a picture of them as a raster thing underneath that we can't get to it right now, but if you had other little points or polygons that represented your building, you could ask the question, is my building inside this buffer? Does it intersect? And how much time do we have?
About 15 minutes.
Shall we put the library on and see where it is? Because that's the other thing I do, is show you how to edit data or create data. Would that be, anyone up for that? We got some nods? Okay. So the last workshop I did, I tried to do like the entire world and got through about a third of it. So I cut it way back. And so I'm excited to get to like add things in here. So where is the physical sciences? King, Rack, Boehner. Where are we here? No.
We are,
What is this, Rossler?
Yeah, go to the right.
This is us?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Here's map time. Now, here's something interesting. We have points. Let's go back to this picture, right? We've got points, we got lines, we got polygons in discrete vector data. You can't store them together in one feature class. So campus food has points. So I can't put a building in there because a building is a polygon, right? I could represent the building as a point, but if I want to show the outline of the building, it's got to be a polygon. So I got to make a new place to store my polygons. So let's do that. Let's go to catalog. We can make a new shapefile, but I like to use my geodatabase. You can right click on your geodatabase. Excuse me. The very top thing is new, and you want a new feature class. That's what we call these different layers of things that are holding our things. So we're going to get a new feature class, and we're going to call this feature class buildings. Okay, and it's going to be a polygon. We want to make a footprint. If we wanted to make a path from one place to another, we pick a line. Okay, so we're going to do a polygon. Okay, and there are a lot of things that you can do with. There's a lot of. I'm just going to walk through. We're not going to do it. This is good enough. Right now, it'll just make it. I'm just going to show you the menus. You can add fields. Actually, let's add one. Let's call it name. Right? So we're going to make sure that it's got a name. We've got a field so we can store building names. And the type is going to be text. And it does not need to be 255 characters. We just make this 50. Okay, so we can add something. So then right out of the gate, we'll have a place to name our buildings. Next, spatial reference. We're skipping this. Take the default here. Skipping this says like tolerances. This is all stuff that mostly you can just take the defaults on that, but you might want to give it a name and you might want to add some fields. So now we have buildings. We can drag this on here. It was already on there. Excuse me. I don't want two of them. That's not helpful. Okay. So now we can activate it and we can edit. Oh, we didn't. Okay. We can edit it. So now we can create a new feature in our buildings. And now we have a couple places, right? We have a couple different places we can edit, but we don't want to make sandwich spots. We want to make building. And once you click on that building, you have a whole bunch of different stuff. You can just draw something. You can autocomplete, which is if you have something already existing and you just want to like connect, like draw a blob that connects on the end and use part of the side, it'll make that. You can make circles, ovals. You can there's all kinds of, you can trace existing features. We just want to pick this one. And then you see my cursor. Can you see my cursor? I don't know. Yeah, okay. So you just click where you want and it's going to make a square. So I'm just going to follow along this outside. See it's making a square. And when I'm done, I double click. Not a very square. The other thing I can do is click it here. Now, this is different than QGIS. You can make things and then you, in QGIS, when you finish your thing, it pops up and it says, what are you calling this? this didn't tell you what to call it. So you either have to open the attribute table or there's an attributes here. You can go open the attributes pane and you can select on your building and give it a name. And we can call this map time. Okay. And then you save. This is saving your edits. This is different than saving your project. Saving your project saves how you've symbolized things, what's showing, what's, you know, how many layouts you have, all that stuff. Saving your edits saves changes that you've made to the underlying data set. So we have just saved our edits. This polygon now exists, and we can save our project, which remembers that we have all these inset maps and stuff, okay? So now we'll turn back our sandwich spots, right? And I have Cotton Brain again. You can do a select which buildings are inside what distance, right? You can do a select by location. Clip union. Okay. I don't know where it is. So let's go to geoprocessing tools. Oh, maybe it's under just select. It's going to be here, right? Select by location. Yeah. So select buildings that intersect. So it's not a tool. It's a selection feature in your map ribbon under selection. Select by location. So which building features intersect our buffer features? And make a new selection and hit apply. And we hit OK. And you can see, oh, yes, it is within one. But if we had all the buildings in the whole campus, right, some of those would not get selected. I just drew one that was in one. So obviously we got an answer. But if I said, is the baseball diamond here in there? We can see that with our eyes, but we could, if you had all of the buildings, then you could select it and then, you could open the attribute table, and in a real data set, you'd have, 50 buildings and 30 of them would be selected, and then you could have your list, you could color them differently, right? You can do all the things that we just talked about there automatically instead of clicking like this with your mouse. So that's how you do that. And I would like to know if anyone has any more questions. And if not, I would like to say thank you for coming. Any more questions or requests, or save your work? Well, thank you everybody for coming.